All right, y'all. This is probably going to be one of my shorter streams, and that is because what I'm about to tell you, I'm telling myself. Um, Let me just make sure to check my audio levels right quick. Make sure that we are good. Ah, okay. All right. The sound actually should be a little bit better now. Okay. So we're good with the audio levels. So let me just go back and say what I said before. This is probably going to be one of the shorter streams, probably one of my shortest, maybe for the entire year. And that's because what I'm about to tell you, I'm now telling myself, which is prioritize and cut your losses. All right, what do I mean? Well, if you're like me, you can be high achieving, but also be on the edge of being the overachiever, meaning you have overcome overachieving. It's usually more self serving, it's on the side of people pleasing, wanting to fulfill certain insecurities, maybe some unmet needs by just doing the most, versus one who is a high achiever, which is you're doing enough. And if you do more than enough by over delivering on a promise, it's not to the detriment or to your health or to anyone else's, nor is it out of an insecurity. That's my uh, put together definition. Just came up with. And so I think I probably talked about it before, but even then I didn't dive into this is just my understanding. But I also now have a list. I have a list of the attributes of what high achieving habits are, what overachieving habits are. We're going to free somebody tonight, all right? Because there's some things that I had to think about. There are specific habits that I'm ramping up. I now have, we talked about this, a food scale where I'm weighing food now, and I will get to the point where there are going to be certain foods where as soon as I get it locked in, it's going to be like a system, right? So right now I'm working on what those combinations of foods are, so that way I don't have to use the scale every single time to figure out what, how many grams is this and how many ounces is this. It'll just come. But in the beginning, it's, all of it feels top heavy. And you may feel that way too. You may feel that a lot of the habits or goals that you planned feel top heavy. Feels as if you're just doing too much and you're only in week 2 of 2025. So listen, if some of y'all are kind of like, oh, we still on this 2025, come up my line. All right. I'm talking to the individuals who that there are specific things that you need to do, there are things that have to get done. What I'm telling you is relax just a little bit. So for instance, we've got nutrition on one side for me. We've got getting steps in, like being more religious about getting my 10,000 steps in per day minimum. Yo, uh, we're what else? What else am I focusing on? I mean, I have a list, right? I have a list here with me. I should have it with me all the time. It should be within reach, but actually, started taking it to me to work as well. So that way, it's just handy wherever I go. But obviously, it's not here. But I have a set of things. You know what's also on that list? Oh, live streaming, obviously, live streaming every night or every day. Well, the time that I'll get to just do that, right? To just put that work in. And as I'm doing this, being a few things, being my authentic self, talking about the things that I want to talk about, which in this case, I'm very interested in what the C-level life is like. So finding people who have either been in a role like that or who are currently in a role like that and talk about decision making, because for me that is one of the ways that I can make more concrete what it looks like to make high impact decisions. It's in boardrooms, it's the C-suite, right? Those things. Now there are other ways, we know this, right? This is what I'm choosing to do. And so because I enjoy this idea, not even the idea, the reality of focusing on making hard decisions and choosing, and and being good at making difficult decisions. What does that look like? How is that personified in the real world? And one of the ways that it's personified is in that particular realm, in the professional realm, the person who has to sit with a team and make some very difficult decisions. I love that stuff. Right? I have a whole story behind when I lived in New York and I was a part of the Goodwill Business Advisory Council. Uh, it was just one of those amazing moments. Okay, so here's the thing. Oh, I wasn't there as a decision maker. I was there as someone who was a mentee, so I just got to sit in on the meetings, which was pretty dope. One of the other things that I'm prioritizing is sleep. This is why this live is going to be short. It's already 9:30. Y'all saw how before I do like these late night lives, and I'm like, yo, we gonna do the late nights now. We not gonna do it. I got a text from a friend. I was like, yo, we out tonight? No, we not out tonight. And I now need to prioritize. Like, what is, you have to think about it. What is it for yourself? What's the thing? What's the thing that above everything else, you just have to cut the losses? I did not hit the 10K steps today. We didn't do it. What am I going to, I could still do it. I had a couple of days like that already in this year where I did everything, but then something got lost. And you know what got lost? Sleep. And I'm realizing that if I have to cut my losses somewhere, it shouldn't be for sleep. Whoever's just hopping in, hey, good to see you. Glad that you're here. What I'm talking about is making sure that you're prioritizing what's the most important thing in 2025. And as a high achiever, don't fall into the trap of overachieving, trying to get every single thing done. So take a look at some of these high achieving habits versus overachieving habits. Oh, this is going to be super helpful because I'm going to now, here's the thing, as I now start to prioritize the thing, the other things will then, they won't fall in place, but I will make specific decisions on when I can execute those things, for how long. Like there are other things that can happen, but I need to have an anchor. And right now, the high priority for me is going to be rest because I think that impacts everything else. And you also can start to feel the weight. Now that you cut your losses, you can say, ah, man, didn't get to it today. Doesn't mean that I'm never going to get to it or with the quality I want to, but that's kind of like a motivator. Those of us that are high achievers, the motivator to be like, okay, now how can I fit this in if this is like my dead, like my cutoff or what it is that I know is going to be done. For me, it's sleep. For you, it can be something else, right? I have to also increase my amount of water intake, my hydration. I also have to increase the amount of vegetables that I eat. It's wild. It's wild. Not because I wasn't eating enough, but now because of the nutrition phase I'm in right now, those things are being ramped up, right? So what do you need to prioritize? Okay, here we go. So for the high achieving habits, the mindset, this is the aspect, the mindset part. High achievers, the habit is focused on consistent growth and learning. Overachievers are obsessed with perfection and avoiding failure. High achievers, when it comes to goal setting, they set realistic, measurable, and meaningful goals. Overachievers set overly ambitious goals, often unrealistic and unsustainable. One of the ways that you can kill that is, once again, prioritizing what's the most important and triage the rest. It's almost, you are kind of reverse engineering, like, ah, man, I did overshoot. Well, what's the most important thing? What are some of the effects that you're feeling from getting everything done and realizing that you're not getting it all done, or you're getting few things done, but it's not the things that you really should execute? Focus on those one or two things and then cull the rest, or find a way to fit the rest, but it won't be as important. Don't be overly ambitious. Work approach. High achievers, they balance hard work and rest and reflection. That part. Hard work with rest and reflection. That's the part that I'm focusing on. The rest part. For a lot of us, it's not that we don't work hard, but if you don't get the rest, you work hard at some point, doesn't even feel like you're working hard. It feels like you're not even at your 100 because you don't have the rejuvenation that's necessary. Overachievers, they work excessively, often sacrificing health and relationships. I actually had a meaningful relationship years ago that suffered because of this. There's probably a large reason why that relationship didn't work out, because I was overachieving, didn't have, now I know that some people are like, oh, work-life balance. Fine, let's not use the term work-life balance. But what I'm saying here is that because there wasn't a healthy balance, let's use the word, it impacted certain relationships. And who's to say that maybe that just wasn't the person that was able to, to be aligned with where I was at that time, and the work that I did put in then is now paying off now. But neither here nor there. The point is, something happened. There was a trade-off, and one of the trade-offs was that relationship. Okay, motivation. High achievers are intrinsically driven by purpose and passion. Overachievers, the habit, is extrinsically driven by validation or fear of falling behind, that insecurity I was telling you about. Time management. High achieving habit is prioritizing effectively, focusing on high value tasks. You prioritize. Overachieving habits, though, includes overloading the schedule, multitasking ineffectively. Here's what high achievers do in response to challenges. They learn from the setbacks, they see failures as feedback. Overachievers avoid risks or they're devastated by the setbacks. They don't know how to live with themselves. This is where some of you may have entrepreneurial spirits, but you haven't cultivated some of the core entrepreneurial skill sets. I say that because one wrong thing or one risk or something, some setback, and you're done. I'm not talking about when you've done things multiple times and then that one moment or that one deal or whatever goes south and then it's like, oh no, I'm finished for the whole. No, maybe you've been working for years, right? And then this one last thing is just like, oh man, okay, I need to take a break. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you have never really faced setbacks before, or you just kind of avoid risk taking because you don't want the rejection, you don't want the failure. Okay, so that's the response to challenges. High achieving habits for health and well-being is by prioritizing physical and mental health. That's important. Overachievers neglect self-care, leading to burnout. One of the things in 2024 that I definitely did start to prioritize was not just my physical, but also my mental health. Finding the right therapist. And even now, like I'm still, it's like dating for your mind. It really is. And just finding the right person that just is gonna work. And I think that, as committed as you are with everything else, you got to be committed to that as well. Relationships. High achievers maintain supportive, meaningful connections, but overachievers, they strain relationships due to work or personal obsession. I've been done. High achievers, when it comes to productivity focus, they work smarter, not harder, leveraging systems and delegation. Some people would be like, nah, you got to work smarter and harder. All right, well, do you. Overachievers strain relationships. Oh, no, they focus on doing everything personally, believing no one else can do it. There's a difference. Now, there's a moment in time when, you're probably going to have to work smarter and harder, right? Some people kind of believe in that you can't outwork me and, I will never be outdone by, okay, cool. So you want to have that grit and yes, have that. But that's different from feeling like if I can't do it, no one else can do it how I do it. So I don't want anybody else to touch it. Totally different. That's trust issues right there. You need to focus on that. Emotional regulation. High achievers adapt to stress with resilience and emotional awareness. You know how they do that? Because they prioritize their health. You can't do that without prioritizing. Overachievers react to stress with anxiety or overexertion. So you're even doing more. Hey, if y'all have not seen, if you haven't seen Inside Out 2, that is a great analogy of what anxiety looks like in the mind. A little orange one. I just need to take a seat every now and again. I was gonna say, all right, last, the measurement of success. High achievers value progress and fulfillment, but overachievers, they measure success solely by the outcomes or external accolades. So when it comes to building a business, like, there are specific KPIs or things that you have to measure, the numbers, right? But those that are in it for longer, for the long haul, it's not just the numbers. There is, hey, we didn't hit the mark in Q1 or whatever, but you know what? Here's what we learned. And man, did it feel good. Even though we didn't hit the mark, we got close to it. We didn't get close to it, but man, we learned something about this. I'm ready. I'm hungry for Q2. I'm ready for the third quarter, for the fourth quarter. Overachievers don't think like that. And if you're not careful, listen, I'm telling you, there's a fine line. There's a fine line between high achievement and overachievement. And I don't know, perhaps maybe this is the year. Maybe, I have a hunch that one of the goals is to help us I say us because I'm in this. Help us to not cross the line, to help high achievers avoid overachievement. Now, probably do it a little bit more positive, like a more positive spin to it, you know, helping high achievers live their, there's an actual company that has it that says like helping high achievers live their best life. That's such a great, it's kind of like Google's material design, like building better products faster or building beautiful products faster. Something like there's certain taglines that have the mission wrapped up in it. It's like, man, if I were to build a business, what I would do would sound so similar to what that is because it just wraps up what it is that I would want to do for myself, right? For other people. But that's what it is for me. It's like helping out to not cross that edge. The positive side is to stay on the side of high achievement without falling into the traps of overachievement. All right. So listen, that's it. Stream done. We had 16 minutes. I'm prioritizing this. What that means is I have to cut my losses. It also means that there are ways and things that I'm going to have to do to get more creative with meeting some of the other goals. So I invite you to do the same thing, right? If you have not thought about, what it is that I need to prioritize and what do I have to cut? I'm not saying that you have to delete it, but maybe you would have to delay it, or maybe you have to delegate it. The man, y'all know about the Eisenhower matrix, right? So let me just show y'all this right quick before we head on up out of here. Eisenhower matrix is very very helpful in just prioritizing. I'm going to share my screen with you guys for a second so that way you can actually see what I'm talking about here. Take a look, y'all. If it's urgent and important, it's something that you need to get done now. If it's important but not really urgent, plan to do it, schedule it, prioritize it. Right? Not just plan, but prioritize it. Put it at the top of the list. If it's urgent but not important, there's a difference, right? It's urgent. This needs to get done, but if it doesn't get done, it's not going to have, let's say, an adverse effect to the business or to my personal life or health or whatever. Delegate it. Maybe it's something that you can give to someone else so that it can be completed, or to an app or whatever it is. But you're not scheduling it. You're giving it so that it can be done, but you don't necessarily have to be the one to do it. And then the last one, if it's not important and not urgent, cut it out. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it all. Why am I saying this? I'm telling this to you because you might have a lot of goals right now, but what you now need to do is you need to start using some sort of framework. This is just one opinion, some sort of framework to start realizing, okay, maybe that one goal that I said I was going to do, maybe I don't need to start that until March. Maybe the self-care where I do need to take some time for myself, maybe I need to bump that up a little bit sooner than I thought. Right? Okay, that's it. I'm not going to belabor the point. I think that y'all get it. Practice what I preach. So I also now am putting sleep. And here's the thing: if it doesn't work, if it doesn't, then change the priority. But I know for me right now, I think sleep is going to be the top. And then maybe things might shift a little. I don't need as much sleep as I think I do. Maybe I can just use this time now to get my steps in like I used to. Maybe I don't need to go out and walk the streets. I love walking outside. Like it's just cool. But maybe I just need to go downstairs and just use the treadmill. Ways to do things. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm out. I'll see y'all. If everything goes well, I'll see y'all tomorrow. And then we can chop it up about some thoughts, ideas, inspiration, things that have come across my daily experience, my desk, so to speak. And then we shall do our best to frame it in through the lens of the C-level leader, or maybe it's just through the lens of inspiring, and getting you to think a little bit more clearly to make the next decision. All right, y'all. See you later.